Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you might be watching this. Can you tell I haven't been on camera for 5 months? If you're new here, my name is Katherine and I'm a 5th year PhD student studying history at The Ohio State University. And welcome to my channel. It has been quite a while, and in my last video I think I had said it has been quite a while, but let me tell you, year 4 into the summer, and honestly the first half of year 5, it's been non-stop. I think in my last update I had said that I had been in France for like 6 weeks. The traveling truly didn't stop. I think I would have to pull up a note to fully track all of my trips. After that trip I was like home for maybe 2 weeks, went to Texas because I hadn't been back to see my family since November. Let's see, then we had friends in town. In May I went back to France for 2.5 weeks with grant funding. Then I was back for a little bit, back to Texas for a longer vacation with my husband to see my family. I was there for my sister's baby shower. I have a baby nephew now. I went after Texas, I came back and I went to France for the 3rd time this year to present my research and receive an award from the Historial de la Grande Guerre. I went to New Orleans for I was like kind of tagging along with my husband for something that he was working at for a week. I had a bachelorette in Cape Cod. Back to Texas for the birth of my nephew. I was there to help out my sister for a week, and that coincided with the first week of the semester here. So that was a crazy time, taking care of a newborn, or helping to take care of a newborn, and also doing all of my beginning of the semester grading. And just, well, not really, there wasn't too much grading, but just getting set up for the semester. Then I spent a weekend in Hocking Hills, which is in Ohio. And then I had another bachelorette in Lake Tahoe, and that was my first time on the West Coast, so that was really fun. Then my best friend was in town last weekend, one of my best friends, and the rest of the year is going to continue to be crazy. We've got weddings the next 2 weekends. One of my other best friends is getting married in Connecticut, so we're going to go there for that. And then I am heading to Australia again for 8 weeks, thanks to some amazing grants that I got, and I'm really in the prep mode for that right now, making sure I have all the documents that I want to look at while I'm there. Then we're going to Hawaii for a wedding of a friend who like lived there, worked there, that's where she met her fiance, and then we're going to Egypt. So that takes us through January. Basically I'm pretty booked out until May of next year, but I wanted to come on, kind of give a life update, give an update for year 5, also chat through an article that I'm planning on submitting before I go to Australia, so within the next 2 weeks. Under 2 weeks now. 2 weeks from today I will be on a plane flying to Australia. So this time I'll be in Melbourne, Canberra, and Sydney, so 3 of the same cities as last time. Sorry, I paused because my husband left for work and he's still outside staring at his car, and I think that's because, if I remember correctly, his tires needed more pressure, so he's filling them with air. Where was I? I'm going to mostly the same cities and the same kind of schedule I did last time, but I'm not going to Adelaide, and I'm spending a bit more time in Melbourne and a bit more time in Sydney, because those are the cities where I really need to get into their city archives, etc. Those are kind of my life recaps. Now, for my PhD recaps, I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to try and not have to do a lot of editing for this video, because if you have been around for a while, which thank you so much for still being here and watching, I have struggled with chronic arm pain for the last few years, and last year I really tried to get the problem solved. Physical therapy, nerve testing, MRI. I did everything that you could have done, and they didn't figure it out, and it kind of subsided for a little bit, and now it's like really, really bad, and it's affecting my mobility, it's affecting my grip strength, it's affecting, honestly, my ability to just sit and do anything, because I'm in constant pain. So I've got another doctor's appointment lined up at the end of this week, but editing can be very hard on the wrist, and that's one of the reasons why I had to take a big break, because I literally just can't be on the computer that long anymore. But thank you for watching this video, and for the rest of the video we are going to get into my year 5, where I'm at, how much longer I have, and all the good stuff. But for now, I've got some emails I need to respond to, and I have some work I have to jump into to start the day, and I have to stop yapping at the camera, so let's just get right into it. I forgot to mention another big life event that happened that really just took me out of internet spaces for a while, which is our darling dog Maggie ended up in the vet ER, and she was in an ICU unit for 6 days, and she is obviously doing better. She's not in the hospital anymore. But this happened at the beginning of August, and she truly was on death's door. We weren't sure if she was going to make it. Thankfully she did, but she is on a lot of medications. She had basically like a spontaneous occurrence of ITP, which is basically she didn't have any platelets at all in her body and it couldn't clot. And they say that in 80% of the cases, no, they say in 50% of the cases, they never know what caused it. And that is the case for Maggie. We don't know what caused it. And in 80% of the cases, they make a full recovery. She's still on a lot of medications and will be for months and months and months. But so far, so good. We take her for blood draws every 2 weeks to see if her levels are still holding steady, and then we bump down one of the medications by like 10 milligrams. So we have another blood draw today, which means my afternoon will be spent driving like 20 minutes away to her vet, and then also to pick up her medication, which we are now Costco members and get the medication at Costco just because we have to get it every 2 weeks, and one of her medications is $160. Ouch. And Costco is just going to be the best option to get it. But that is another life update and something that just really took us out of it for basically the entire month of August. We were kind of dealing with the peak of that issue. But she's doing better. Okay, I just had to come on because I have just had a research breakthrough, and I, for a very long time, have not been able to determine of one of the couple's letters that I'm reading through the ages of the children. It's not mentioned in the letters, at least that I found up to this point, and trying to search for the soldier and his wife online has just been a journey, let's just say. Finally, I had enough clues to search birth registers, and I have the ages. And I do think it's very funny because one of the girls who's writing letters to her father, I've just determined at the start of the war, when she sends a letter, is like 4.5 years old. And I feel like a 4.5-year-old wouldn't be able to write. So that says to me, I think, that the mother was writing in like a child's handwriting. I'm not entirely sure, but it does crack me up, and now I need to go reread those letters. But I'm very excited, and I have worked right through lunch. It's 1 p.m., so I'm going to take a lunch break now. In about an hour, we're going to have to leave to take Maggie to her blood draw, vet appointment, so I've got to kind of hustle. But I was just very excited. I needed to share my research findings. I constantly feel these days like I have so many books near and around me, and I can never seem to find what I'm looking for. I did get a lot of really good work done this morning and earlier this afternoon. As I said, I'm working on my first article to submit to a journal. I'm very excited. I actually don't know if I should like talk about what it is. I don't know if that would impact my ability to get published, but I will just say this. It's based on my first chapter, which is about mobilization, and I presented at a conference this summer virtually for the George Roux Society, which is basically Australasian study of French history. And since my work looks at Australia and France, it's a good place for me to present my work. And that was also kind of based loosely on the first chapter. All things said, I'm really ready to move on and move into other things, but I'm working on developing a concept called effective mothering, which this concept has already been developed by two scholars who work on mothering and war, but a lot of the wars that they discuss are like mid to late 20th century into like current time, and their ideas about effective mothering, which is the ability to provide for a child's like physical and psychosocial needs. And mothering just looked very different at the turn of the 20th century, and one thing that I need to go back in and do for this article is define what I mean both in my own terms as a historian and a theorist by effective mothering, and also what that meant for mothers in World War I. So I'm going through a lot of books and trying to figure that out. I spent the last like day and a half doing some really good research on a book called The Disenchantment of the Home, which is about Australia from 1880 to 1940 and the changes that underwent the home during that time period, and parenting and mothering. But I need to find something similar for France. So I have this book that I got a while ago, started reading, didn't finish. I will be honest, I just have had a lot going on, called Histoire des Mères, History of Mothers. So obviously I need to finish reading this for my work and find some good nuggets here. We did take Maggie to get her blood drawn, and then we popped over to Costco to get her medication. And I have a little tiny bit of time before I have an evening thing at like 5:45. It is now 4:15 p.m. And then Survivor's tonight, and I love Survivor, as you all know, so I will be watching that and live texting with my friends. And that will pretty much be the day. I am on a real countdown because not only do I have 2 weeks to submit this article, also in a week and a half I'm getting feedback from other grad students in the department. So I already sent a draft to the person who heads up this kind of graduate forum, but she hasn't sent it out yet, and I've made quite a few edits today, so I might see if I can send her an updated version. I'm gonna read a little bit and see if I can find any juicy nuggets before I have to leave. Okay, so I just got home from an evening service, and now it is 7:30. I fed Maggie her dinner and gave her her evening medications. There's this one medication that she's on. It's called Atopica. Humans can also have it. It's basically an immunosuppressant, and we have to wear gloves when we give it to her because there's a chance that it could impact our immune system. And of course, it's the most complicated medicine to like get into, and it's the hardest one to get into, and we are wearing gloves every time we do it. So that's always a time. But I think I'm actually gonna get ready for bed now at 7:30 because Survivor is an hour and a half long these days, and it starts at 8, so then that'll go till 9:30. And this one YouTube channel that I watch is doing like a live stream tonight after that, so I feel like I'm not really gonna have time to wind down properly later. So I think I'm gonna hop in the shower, and then I have a little reading to do still for this book. It is very useful, I found, before I left this evening, which I've known this whole time, but I just haven't exactly needed it in some of the things that I've been writing. So I might be piddling through that while I watch Survivor, or I might be planning my packing list for Australia, which is in T-minus 2 weeks, but I also need to plan my packing list for a wedding that I'm going to next weekend. So we'll see what I end up doing in the commercials. But I do still want to talk about where I'm at. So let's just do that now, honestly. If you guys are up for a chit chat, this is going to be a very chatty vlog because we have so much to catch up on. But as I mentioned at the top, or maybe I didn't, maybe I started it wrong and said I'm a 4th year, but I'm a 5th year PhD student. Just started year 5. If you've been here from the beginning, thank you for sticking with me. Clearly it gets crazy the longer that you're in it, as does life. But I have funding for 6 years, so I still have this year and next year fully funded. Next year will be a writing fellowship year, which means I don't have to grade or anything like that. This year, for the 3rd year in a row, I'm at a 75% appointment of GTA. Yes, I'm on a GTA this semester, which is a graduate teaching associateship. And basically what 75% means, it means I'm 75% time employment. So I'm contracted to work 30 hours a week for 2 different classes. One of my classes is a supplemental and it's at the 2nd part of the semester, so it hasn't even started yet. So I'm definitely not working 30 hours a week. And why, might you ask, have I done this now for like the 3rd year in a row? Because money. As a grad student, you're always looking for ways to get more money. And this brings in about an extra $1,000 a month. So kind of around $400 to $4,500 extra dollars per semester. So I feel like over the span, maybe even slightly more, maybe over the span of the last 2 years, I've basically increased my earnings by like $9,000 per year, which is very much needed when we only make, after taxes, I think like $21,000 or $22,000. So I'm doing that, and I'm writing and researching. This year is still very heavy on the research before next year, which is just straight up writing the entire time. But I really want to finish all my research this year. As I'm in year 5, it's like about dang time to finish this research up. So that is where I'm at. And if you guys have any questions about what I'm doing, what else I'm doing like this year in the program or anything like that, please let me know in the comments. I know there's a lot of more people out there producing grad content these days, so please let me know what you are specifically interested in hearing from me and what I can share to help maybe your grad experience along, or if you just want someone to commiserate with, I'm also here for that. But okay, enough chit chat. I'm gonna go shower and start getting ready to watch my shows. Okay, that is all for today. Good night from Miss Maggie and myself and her iconic side eyes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back very soon with my next video. Have a good day. Bye, guys.